This wasn't a courtroom battle. It was a military campaign, and I used ancient wisdom to predict and dismantle my opponent's every move. When my marriage ended, I was devastated. The person I thought I'd spend my life with was suddenly an adversary, and the legal system felt like a bewildering, hostile territory. I was lost, scared, and felt completely powerless. Then, one night, scrolling endlessly online, I stumbled upon a quote from Sun Tzu's The Art of War. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. That single line hit me like a lightning bolt. It was a paradigm shift. I realized I didn't have to play a game of emotional warfare and scorched earth tactics. I could approach this strategically, with intelligence and foresight, not with anger and brute force. So, I bought a copy. That ancient book became my playbook, my counsel, and my secret weapon. It wasn't about being aggressive, it was about being smart. Let's be clear. Divorce is emotionally draining. It can feel like you're trapped in a fog of hurt and confusion. But Sun Tzu taught me the importance of clarity and preparation. He wrote, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." The enemy wasn't my ex-spouse as a person, but their legal strategy, their arguments, and the emotional tactics they might employ. And knowing myself meant understanding my own emotional triggers, my non-negotiables, my financial situation, and what future I truly wanted for myself and my children. I spent weeks not just gathering documents but also journaling. I wrote down my fears, my goals, and what a successful outcome looked like to me. It wasn't just about winning points in court. It was about building a stable, happy future. This self-reflection was my first victory. It grounded me, gave me a clear objective, and prevented me from getting dragged into pointless, petty skirmishes that would only drain my resources and my spirit. It's like preparing the battlefield before the first soldier ever steps onto it. One of the most powerful principles I adopted was about choosing my battles. Sun Tzu says, "He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight in a divorce." You're bombarded with opportunities for conflict. An inflammatory email, a disagreement over a sentimental piece of furniture, a passive-aggressive comment. My initial impulse was to fight back on every front, to prove I was right. But the art of war taught me to pause and ask, does this battle serve my ultimate goal, or is it just a distraction? I learned to let the small things go. Fighting over a coffee table wasn't going to secure my financial future or improve my co-parenting relationship. Instead, I saved my energy, my financial resources, and my lawyer's expensive time for the things that truly mattered: custody arrangements and the fair division of major assets. This strategy frustrated my opponent. They were expecting a brawl, a war of attrition. Instead, they met with strategic silence on minor issues, which made my stance on major issues that much more powerful and unshakable. It was about controlling the tempo of the conflict, not reacting to it. Another key concept was the use of information and, dare I say, deception. Not lying, but controlling the flow of information. Sun Tzu emphasized that all warfare is based on deception. In the context of divorce, this meant not revealing my entire strategy or my emotional state. In legal proceedings, you're often required to disclose financial information, and you must be truthful. But you don't have to disclose your fears, your bottom line, or what keeps you up at night. I presented a calm, organized, and resolute front, even on days when I was falling apart inside. My legal team and I carefully prepared our arguments, gathering evidence quietly and methodically. We didn't make loud threats or grandstand. We simply built our case, brick by brick, behind the scenes. My ex's legal team seemed to expect an emotional, reactive opponent. When they were met with calm, data-driven proposals, it threw them off balance. They had prepared for a street fight, and I showed up ready for a chess match. This element of surprise, this act of appearing formless, as Sun Tzu would say, was incredibly effective. Sun Tzu also speaks about the importance of terrain. The natural formation of the country is the soldier's best ally. For me, the terrain was the legal system itself. I had to understand its rules, its procedures, and its culture. I didn't just rely on my lawyer. I educated myself. I read about family law in my state. I learned the terminology. I understood the timelines and what a judge would likely prioritize, which is almost always the well-being of the children. By understanding the landscape, I could anticipate the probable paths the case would take. We could prepare for mediation by knowing what a mediator's goals are. We could prepare for a potential hearing by understanding what a judge needs to see and hear. This knowledge demystified the process and removed a huge layer of fear. I was no longer a passive passenger in my lawyer's car. I was a co-navigator with a map. It allowed us to position our arguments on high ground, making them seem reasonable, logical, and aligned with the principles of the law itself. Perhaps the most humane and, ultimately, most effective lesson from the art of war was the idea of building a golden bridge for your opponent to retreat across. Sun Tzu warns, to a surrounded enemy, you must leave a way of escape. If you back an opponent into a corner with no way out, they will fight with the desperate ferocity of a cornered animal, and the battle will be costly for everyone. My goal wasn't to humiliate or destroy my ex. My goal was to dissolve a partnership and move forward. So, in our negotiations, we always left a door open. We presented offers that, while firm on our core needs, also offered the other side a way to agree without feeling completely defeated. It might be a small concession on a non-critical asset or a phrasing in the agreement that allowed them to save face. This approach transformed the dynamic from a zero-sum game into a problem-solving exercise. It signaled that I was willing to be reasonable, which encouraged reasonableness in return. This strategy ultimately led to a settlement outside of court, saving us tens of thousands of dollars and, more importantly, the immense emotional trauma of a trial. We both got to walk away with our dignity intact. Finally, The Art of War is a manual on leadership, and in this process, I had to learn to lead myself. Sun Tzu says a leader must have wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. I had to be wise in my strategy. I had to be sincere in my stated goals for my children's well-being. I had to show benevolence by not seeking to inflict unnecessary pain. I needed immense courage to face my fears and stand firm on what mattered. And I had to be strict with myself, maintaining emotional discipline when I wanted to scream, and staying focused on my long-term plan. This wasn't just about winning a legal case. It was a profound journey of self-discovery and personal growth. I walked into this process feeling like a victim, a casualty of a failed marriage. But by applying these ancient principles, I walked out feeling like a strategist, a survivor, and the architect of my own future. The divorce was still the hardest thing I've ever gone through. The art of war is not a magic wand that erases pain or difficulty, but it gave me a framework to navigate the chaos with intention and strength. It taught me to think 2 steps ahead, to conserve my emotional and financial resources, and to fight smart, not hard. It allowed me to protect my future and the future of my children. Most importantly, it empowered me to turn a situation where I felt completely powerless into a testament to my own resilience. It proved that even in the darkest of times, wisdom and strategy can light the way forward. I wanted to share this story because I know many people out there are facing similar battles and feeling just as lost as I was. Remember to know yourself. Choose your battles wisely, understand the terrain, and always leave your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. You are the commander of your own life. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you or you found these ideas helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content. I'd love to hear your thoughts or your own experiences in the comments below. Take care and be strategic.